All right, guys, welcome to Frontline training. So Mr. Landry and I are in charge of training you guys for the new Frontline, and we thought this would be a better way of conducting this training, just considering, the state of our nation and the circumstances we're in. Also, we thought it was better this way because currently we don't have full access to Frontline, not even us. So the programs we're going to be using are kind of fake accounts that they give us a minimal access for us to show you the basics of it. And if we were to be sitting in the commons, you wouldn't be able to have your laptops out and kind of fill things out as we go anyway. So this is kind of a way for you to have a resource you can watch and rewatch as you need. And along the way, if there's any questions, then, let us know. We'd be more than happy to answer them. There.
Out to Mr. Scott for preparing that video. It's awesome.
Yeah, that was fun. Got to do it our way, right?
Yes, sir.
All right, so I'm going to start by sharing the login screen. And this is going to be our Frontline login screen, which you guys are going to have an icon on your desktop. When you guys log into the portal, you'll find the Frontline icon. You'll click on that, and you're going to use your credentials, your regular Judson credentials to log in. So these are my credentials that they're giving me for now. And when you log in, you can see it's clearly not my name. It's just a mock account here. But when you log in, the first thing you're going to see is your dashboard. And for each of us, the dashboard is going to be different. For Dr. Juarez, for Ms. Martinez, and for people who have more access, they're going to have many, many other icons on their desktop. For us, we're going to be limited to just the things that we need, which are taking attendance, entering classroom grades, filling out a progress report, and discipline, things like that. So one of the things I want to kind of draw your attention to is right here. These are pretty much everything that we're going to need. But one thing you can do is if you want to create your own favorites to kind of have a quicker link for you to access, you can go over to the left here on the toolbar, click favorites. It's going to pop up some words right here. You're going to click configure. And then when configure comes up, you're going to type in the title of what you want. So you got to make sure you fill out this yellow box. Anything with a star has to be filled out. So I'm going to call this Scott's menu. Under Scott's menu, you want to change reports to entry points, and then you want to make expanded as yes. So these are the available ones to me. I can click one of them. So let's say I want discipline pass form. It's going to highlight in yellow. And then I just click add, and it'll drag it over. If I want to click multiple at the same time, I'm going to want to hold down the control button. So maybe enter classroom grading, maintain teacher grade book, take classroom attendance. And you can see that all of those are highlighted in yellow. And then I just drag them over to add. And then at the very bottom, I'm going to click save. And you can see right up here, it went under my menus and it added one called Scott's menu. So then when I go back to the home page, I've now got a new menu to choose from, which is an exact mirror of what's in here. But if you want to have, a quicker reference for the ones you use the most, you can use those. So I'm going to talk about attendance, and that's what we're going to go to first. Let me get this back up here so I can see. So under taking attendance, we're going to go to take classroom attendance, very cut and dry. And when you come in to take classroom attendance, you're going to see your different classes, and you're going to look over to the left, and you're going to notice that all of these have X's, which means that we have not taken attendance yet. One of the things I want to kind of mention that I don't want to forget early is that one of the things they told us is, considering that now we're doing synchronous and asynchronous learning, is if you forget to take attendance, or if you have a student that did not show up to your synchronous class, but later in the day they showed up to your asynchronous class and they proved that they were there through Google Classroom or whatever format they use, you actually have until 10 a.m. the next day to change that attendance. But if you don't get it in there by 10 a.m. the next day, then you're going to have to go through the proper documentation with the front office to get that attendance changed. Remember, attendance is key. So I'm going to choose first period English here. So if I want to take attendance, I'm going to click it. It's going to highlight in yellow. I'm going to click select, and it's going to take me into my first period English class. Okay, so this format, I'm going to click back here real quick. If you haven't set it up yet, the first thing that's going to happen is it's going to show you the roster in a roster form, not a seating chart form. Whichever form you set it as, it's gonna default to that every single time. So I'm going to show you how to set up a seating chart in a little while. But underneath your attendance, you have obviously your student names. You have your 3 options of present, absent, or tardy. So let's say Yesenia is absent, Danny is tardy, and Melody is absent. When I click post, which means I'm going to post my attendance, it's not going to take my attendance right off the bat. It's going to first take me to a confirmation page where I want to double check, okay, these are my absent students, these are my tardy students. And then for me to finalize that attendance, I'm going to have to confirm that with clicking OK. So to take attendance, the key to remember is that you have to do 2 things. You have to post and click OK. So after I've done that, you can see that it's gone from having an X for first period to having a check mark. I'm going to try second period here just to see if it'll give it to me in a regular format. Okay, perfect. So this is a classroom. You can see whenever I logged in, I have not set up a seating chart too. So when I click second period English, it's going to default straight to my roster form. But if I wanted to create a seating chart, I could. And so if I go to this drop-down box that says View, it's going to have Class Roster View, which is what we're in, or I can add a seating chart. So to add a seating chart, you're going to click Add Seating Chart. You're going to name your chart. So I'm going to call this second period. And then you're going to put, according to your classroom design, you know, how many rows and how many columns you have. So maybe I have 4 rows, and maybe I have 4 columns because I only have 16 students. If you have tables in your room, you know, you're not going to get a table view. You're going to get a grid view just like you would for regular desks. So you're just going to have to kind of configure that whenever you're looking at the roster and know in your head, you know, what it looks like. But after you set up those rows and those columns, you're going to click Add. And so you can see down here, when I clicked Add, it went from having just my student list view to having a second period now as well. And then it also, instead of making the default be the roster, it's going to now make the default be the seating chart. So how do I edit that seating chart? So I'm going to put second period, which is going to click it and highlight yellow. Anytime you're choosing something, you'll know you've got it because it's highlighted yellow. And then I'm going to click select. So when I click select, the first thing that's going to pop up is this kind of Excel grid here that doesn't have any of the students' names. So what I can do is I can go to any of these cells and I can click it. And when I click it, it's going to bring a drop-down box, and then I can select the student that wants to be in there. So maybe Paloma is going to sit right there. I can click it, and I can pick another student. All right, now, if I scroll all the way down, pretty cool, which is probably what I would do, is it's going to have other options: alphabetical, random, unassigned. So I'm going to pick random assigned student. And then I click OK. And it's going to randomly place those kids all the way throughout my classroom. If I want to move a kid, like let's say I want to move Brittany, all I got to do is take my cursor, highlight over local ID. It's not actually going to highlight it. It's just going to be on top of it. You're going to hold it down with your mouse and drag it to another chair, and it's going to swap Brittany. If you want to trade places, maybe I want to trade Yesenia with Melody. So I'll just click Yesenia, local ID, drag it over to Melody, and it's going to switch Yesenia and Melody. You can also take attendance on here. You can click absent, you can click tardy, and then you would go to the bottom and you would click post. After clicking post, it'll bring you to your reminder page. And after your reminder page, you're gonna have to click OK. Because remember, it's two things that you've got to click to finalize that attendance, post and OK. I'm not gonna click post yet because I wanna go back and I wanna show you guys something. So I'm gonna go back home. Remember that was second period. Take classroom attendance. And when I go in to take classroom attendance, but the key here to understand is that if you set up a seating chart, it's gonna default you to the seating chart anytime. So if you don't want the seating chart, you just have to hit the drop-down box and change it to roster view. A couple other side notes to know whenever you're dealing with attendance is right over here you have notes, and I can put my note when I click it. It's gonna pop it up. I can write any note about that student and save it by clicking OK. If I'm in my seating chart view, I would click the note by clicking right here, and it's going to pop up my note, and I can just write whatever I want and click OK. Cancel that. Remember, if you put any notes in there, parents have access to everything here, so you want to make sure that you're putting things in there that you're comfortable for parents to see. So just make sure you understand that anything we put in here, parents are going to have access to, so be very careful. The last thing within attendance, besides seating charts and taking attendance, is over here on the right, is if you look at these little icons of individuals, those are where you would get their personal information. So if I clicked one, and I'm going to switch my view because that did not show up, but whenever I click that, a new pop-up window shows that looks like this. And this pop-up window is going to have all your information for all of the kids. It's going to have some of the restrictions, their enrollment, transportation, their parent contact information. Everything is going to be located within those icons right there. So those icons are going to be located over on the right-hand side. One last thing I'm going to share with you in here, and then we're going to turn it over to Mr. Landry, is that if you have one of these individual icons on the right over here in red, it's indicating to you that you have some kind of health alert for that student. You might have another kind of alert that's not a health alert, but if it is in red, there's information in there that's important for you to understand regarding your student. It could be their accommodations. It could be that they're diabetic. It could, whatever it is, this part would highlight in red. Other than that, I think that covers it all there for attendance. Anything you think I'm missing, Mr. Landry?
No, I think that pretty much hit it. All
right, perfect. So that is taking attendance, and we're going to turn it over to Mr. Landry for gradebook setup.
All right, hello, good people, and I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. And I will be taking you back to the original login screen. And for the purpose of setting up your gradebook, you're going to look under your teacher options and select Maintain Teacher Gradebook category. And then you're going to select your course. Let's pick first period. And notice that your gradebook categories pop up here. You have assignments and CFA. These are predetermined in this training environment. The district will have designated categories that will be set up for us. However, if those need to be edited, you can go down here to where it has available unassigned categories, and you can add your categories there. Once we have agreed upon what those categories will be, if those will be standardized for JECA or if we'll be able to amend those based on your class as we have done in the past, you can do that. Notice that you have color schemes over here off to the right. So if you don't like blue for assignments and you want that to be a different color, you can just click on that and it will give you your color options to change those. So that's pretty self-explanatory. When you get ready to enter grade, you're going to click on the tab that says Teacher Gradebook Assignment. Okay, and you can see that I already have some assignments that have been entered here in this class. Again, you're going to see this grid format. There's a series of options across the top here. If you want to rearrange your assignments based on how recently you assigned them, you can click on assignment name and it will take those from being the oldest assignment at the top to the most recent at the bottom. And then if you want to switch that back, you can always have the most recent one at the top and the oldest at the bottom. You can also rearrange that according to assignment date and due dates, etc. Notice that you also have options for notes here. We'll get into that in just a moment on how to create a note for an assignment. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and add another assignment in so you can see how that is done. So I'm going to go down and click add. And then under here, I will select the category that I want. I'm going to pick a different category this time. I'm going to put that under CFA. And then I'm going to call this book project. And let's say that I am assigning this today. You always need to make sure that your due date is going to be, of course, beyond what the assignment date is. You have a calendar option here, and you can also enter the numbers in manually in a 6-figure format. So let's say I wanted the due date to be August 7th. I put 08/07/20. Then this is for if you're going to use an alpha grade, your scale value for the assignment that you're doing, whether you want to drop the assignment, if it is for extra credit. And then if you have attachments and notes, I'm going to show you how you can do that. So let's say I wanted to put an attachment onto the book project assignment. I would just click attachments rather, and then click on add. I'm going to select a PDF file. I pick this.
So on his screen right now, the pop-up came for the selection of the file, which is good.
Right.
So he's picking a file. You'll have that show on your screen and you select the file.
So I have selected a file. And then I will click OK. And that attachment has been placed with that assignment. Let's say you wanted to put the instructions for the assignment, or there's a worksheet that goes with it and you want them to have that copy, you'll be able to attach that there. And I'll click Return to Assignments. And then you'll be able to see CFA Book Project, and there is a Y under attachment. Now, if I wanted to add notes to that assignment, I'm going to select it, highlight it, click on notes, type my note in, save those changes. Return to assignments. And you'll now see that we have a note for the book project assignment.
And remember, the notes are visible by parents as well, right?
Right. Yeah, all of the notes they will be able to see. So let's say you want to copy an assignment for another class. Let's say we've had all of these assignments created in first period. You've worked on that class first and you want to go and copy those over to another class. You'll use the Copy Assignment tab. And then you'll see your list of your assignments, similar to the way that Paul showed you how you can add things into your favorites menu. This works basically the same way. You can select them one at a time to add them over. If I wanted to remove that, I could select it and remove it back over. If I wanted to add them all at one time, I don't even have to select them all. I can just hit the add all. They will all go over. You can remove all. And again, that same function to hit the control. If you're going to select certain assignments, you can add those over as well.
Now, I believe in the grade book, you can also just do one assignment also. Isn't there a way to do that?
Yes. Also, keep in mind, we've kind of been toying around with this a little bit, so some of these things have been saved in here. If one of the great things about this program is that if you are copying assignments and you forget that you had already copied assignments over to a course, it will not duplicate those assignments. So let's say I want to add all of these assignments or copy them. I'm going to select 7th and 8th period, copy, and then it tells you that all assignments have been copied. Again, remember that if you, for whatever reason, had already copied those, it won't duplicate them for you. Okay, I'm going to go back to return to assignments. And so now we want to enter some grades, all right? So I'm going to go back to home. And to start inputting your grades, you're going to go into Enter Classroom Grading. Pretty simple. You're going to select your course. Let's go into here. Okay, so you can see that I already have some grades entered in here. If you input a failing grade, it's going to pop up in red automatically. And you can just hit the number and enter, and it will go down. You can enter multiple grades for multiple assignments. And when you have finished entering your grades, you're going to hit save. I want to show you the feature for how to enter a grade for a retake. So let's say this particular assignment here where Tanya wants to fix this 50. You click on that assignment. Actually, you're going to go to the top right here and click on the title of that assignment. And then you will see your students, their original grade, and then here where you can enter the retake. You can see that I've done one already here for Stephanie. And so second time around, Tanya gets an 80. I enter that, save it. And then when it takes you back to your grade book, you're going to see that this little dog ear appears just like the one for Stephanie. That is your indicator that that student has done a retake on that assignment. Again, if you go back into the title of the assignment, you'll see what their current grade is, what their original grade was for the assignment, and then any other, the first retake, second retake. You're also allowed to put any extra points on assignments in this column. You can override a grade if you want to mark it as a late assignment, so that shows up in your grade book. You're able to do that as well. Let's say that was the reason why they got a 50, and you just check that box. And so that note will appear as well. You can see that there is now an L next to, I don't know what those, I don't know if that's the same L.
I think that's the L for late. Yeah,
For a late assignment.
And what about how do they do an autofill for the whole entire? Like if they want to fill the whole column.
Correct. Thanks, Paul. Okay, so chapter 3, everybody or most of your students have gotten the same grade. Let's say a lot of kids are getting 100 on chapter 3 assignment, and you don't want to just keep entering the 100. You can go up here to this row that says all, put your 100 in, and it will autofill all of your students, and then you can go back and fix the ones that did not get hundreds on those assignments. Always remember to hit save and okay. So that basically covers entering grades into the system. And again, we talked about initially how you can change the color scheme. Notice that for the book project, we have a different color showing up for that assignment. And it will break it down when you're entering the grades. It will actually have them categorized by color for those assignments. So this category is right here. You'll see the average for those, and then your next category, you'll start to see those grades and then the average in that category. And then your overall average back at the very front for the class. All right, and I'm gonna send it back over to Mr. Scott to show you how to post grades to the report card.
Perfect, thank you. All right, so I'm still from where I left off last time in the attendance window. One of the things, kind of just watching Derek go through the grading process there, is remembering that everything is a two-step process. Remember, attendance is post and okay, and grade book was save and okay. So we got to remember to make sure that we're hitting everything twice. Anytime you're getting lost or you need to reset, just go over to the left here and click home. It's going to take you right back to where you were, which is what Mr. Landry had said earlier. So I'm going to go into my grade book because I'm going to talk a little bit about how do we post our grades, if it's progress report time or if it's report card time. So obviously posting grades is not going to be done in your attendance because that's attendance. It's not going to be done in your maintain teacher grade book. That's where you set up your grade book. It's going to be done in the enter classroom grading portion, which is where you actually have your grade book and you put your grades in. So I've clicked in Enter Classroom Grading. And remember, anytime you click into that, it's going to bring all of your classes. I'm going to select the class that I hopefully have some grades in. When I select anything, it turns yellow. And then I click Select. And it takes me into whatever class this is right here. So you can see in this classroom, I already have a bunch of grades in there. My test homework 1, test homework 2, test homework 3, and it's progress report time. So let's say it's time for me to post my progress report so that they can send those out to the students. Well, at the bottom here, you can see it says post to report card. Post to report card might say post to the report card every time. It might say post to progress reports if it's that time. But where we go to post our grades when it's time to post them is this button right here. So if I click post to report card, it's going to say, well, I already posted them on that. Let me try another class. Here's my drop down.
In the training, they told us that depending on what time of the grading period is, the system will know whether to post it as a progress report or a report card, even if it says post to report card.
So let's hope that this one works. Obviously, we've been playing around with it, and so now it has all the things in there. So I've entered my grades. Everybody passed my class. It's PE. And so now I'm going to go down here to post report card. So when I click post a report card, okay, so again, it says that they're already been posted. So probably what is happening is that it's going to say that the time frame whenever they gave us in the training is already posted. But the key here is that you're going to click post a report card and then okay, it's going to have a second one. If you go into your grade book, I really would like to be able to go into one of those. All right, so let's say I'm here. If I go over to this tab, report card, which reminds me, one of the cool things about this new program is that if you look at these tabs over here, instead of us having to go back and change the 9 weeks, you're going to be able to look at the different grading periods very quickly that we've had. This is 6 weeks, 1, 2, 3, 4. We're going to obviously have 9 weeks, 1, 2, 3, and 4. But you'll be able to bounce back and forth if you want to check a grade from a grading period before very quickly. If I click on report card right here, one of the things you're going to notice is it's going to kind of show me, well, here's the grades that were posted for 6 weeks, number 6. If I click on this drop-down box and I put show comments, it's going to have these spots for comment 1, comment 2, comment 3. So if I clicked on a box for comment 1 right here, it's going to give me a little cursor. And so then I can go down to the bottom to where it says show values. And then when it has show values is where I have my predetermined things that I can put in for comments. Maybe they have, they're coming to class unprepared. So I click 3 and it's going to put it in there right there as a 3. Remember to click save when you're done and it's going to have my changes saved. So to post grades in my grade book, I'm going to go back one more time. Grading only, 6 weeks, number 6. You're just going to click post to grade report card and then save. If you want to add a comment, you're going to want to go to report card, take the drop down box, add a comment, click on, maybe I want to add a second comment, show values, effort is commendable. So that's kind of the opposite of what I said earlier. And then save it. And I apparently gave it to all 3 of those where I had those in there earlier. Remind me again, Derek, the finalize, when do we finalize the grades?
After everything is as you want it to be, then you will click that finalize button. And then, but it will prompt you again with another prompt to click an OK. It won't just simply be to just hit the finalize button. It'll prompt you for another button to be pressed after that.
I'm wondering if when during the training session of when I posted the report card, if that does all of them. You know, because look, I'm going in here and I'm putting grades. post a report card. Yeah, so it must have been when we were training that they, when I posted the first time, it kind of basically has it under the lock right now that it's been posted. But
Right.
this post a report card button is where you're going to go when it's time for you to post them.
Right.
Post and then finalize.
Right. Then under the report card tab is where you'll do the finalizing of your grades. It's pretty user friendly.
Pretty user friendly, yeah. And then remember, anytime you're going to put comments in or anything like that, you want to save them. Okay, so that's where we're going to go if we want to finalize our grades for the report cards. Let's say we want to do an office referral. So now office referrals, one of the things they had mentioned, obviously we've kind of already moved Ejeka to online referrals, but everything that we need is going to be in this one window instead of you having to go through Eduforia and form space. But another thing they had mentioned is that you need to make sure that only major referrals are being sent to the office. So this is really going to be a good tool for us to have documentation to support administration whenever they get those major referrals sent to the office. It's going to be a good point for them whenever they see a student come in and there's a lot of documentation saying they weren't wearing ID card, they were disrespectful in class, things like that.
Right. On the discipline form, there's actually going to be an option or for the teacher action that says referred to administrator, and then that will automatically get it sent to the administrator to take further action on that. But any other discipline that's entered is as documentation. That's that record, that ongoing record that Paul was talking about, that gives the administrator the history of what's been happening so that they can work from there.
Exactly. And then another thing that they said was real good is that, we're going to have access not only to our students in the discipline form, but we're also going to have access to the entire campus. So maybe, we've all got plenty of students that are not ours that we've seen in the hallway that are consistently not following rules. And this is going to be a nice little quick way for you to add some documentation in there as well. So for the discipline, obviously, we're going to choose discipline fast form right here. When I click it, it's going to take me to a search menu where I need to put in a minimum of 3 characters. Do you remember any of my students' names in this thing?
I just remember Yesenia for the first name.
Okay, there we go. We'll go Yesenia for the first name.
I think it was YAS.
So there she is right there. So let's say Yesenia, I was going to write a referral for her. She'd be right there. I'm going to go back just real quick. You could put last name and 3 letters of the last name, 3 letters of the first name, and it's obviously going to give you a much more narrowed search. You can put the ID number, which that's just a lot of work. So you just got to put in a minimum of 3 characters. And so here she is, Yesenia Anaya. I'm going to click her name. And it's going to take me to the discipline fast form. So with the discipline fast form, I'm going to try to fill out as much information as I can. Location description, maybe this happened in the hallway. Was not wearing ID card. Just kind of describing the incident, clicking the offense. Nothing came down there, so we don't have to worry about that. And then action taken, conference with student. Or you could even say warning. You only have to fill out the minimum parts here, obviously, which are the star, but you want to at least give the local description and the location and what it is that you did. And so then, we got no matches. So these are going to obviously have predetermined. They have drop-down arrows here. Whenever they fill this out, they're going to have predetermined things for us to select from. And then you save the incident, and that's going to go in there. So incident 115 was saved for Yesenia Anaya. If I want to search, another student, I don't remember any of these. Let's see, maybe was there a Miller? You can see right there was nothing there. So you're going to know your students, but you're going to search them in there by looking at the discipline fast form right there. Other things, let's see what else they said. That's it on the discipline forms. Anything I'm
Yes.
missing on that?
Nope.
Super self-explanatory. Everything's really self-explanatory. It's just a matter of kind of getting the practice to go through. The unfortunate part is that we're not going to have the practice until we have full access to our Frontline, which has our students in it and things like that. One of the things that they had mentioned before I go into reports here is that, you know, when you do get access to your Frontline, you know, you don't want to just go in there and start filling things in for practice, because it's going to be live, it's going to be saved. So, you know, when you first get it, before we actually have students, you can put categories in there, you can put assignment titles in there, but you want to be careful not to put some other grades and other things in there, just because it might make the process of removing them a little more difficult, but you can definitely set it up.
All right, let's get into reports. I will go ahead and share
Let me stop
my
sharing
screen.
mine.
I don't know why that is doing that.
While he's loading that up, you know, we tried to cut this down to under an hour, so I think we're going to do that. So if we're going a little quick, understand that we're trying to do that for your benefit, but at the same time, we're literally showing you everything that we learned. That is it. Anything that is not covered, we haven't done yet either. So this is what we got over the 2 days of training.
Okay, Paul, will you go ahead and go back and share your
Sure.
screen?
You want me to just click for you?
Please.
Okay.
Okay, so when you're going to run reports, over on your navigation pane off to the side, you'll see that there are two things that say report, but you're going to select report profiles. And then to get your different types of reports, we're only, we said in the beginning, there are certain features available to certain employees. For teachers, you'll see where it says student, you'll click on that, and then teacher reports. And then you have all of your options there available. Class assignments, individual progress reports, failing assignments, etc. So let's say I want to run a failing averages report. And then notice you see a lot of stars. Remember that everything with a star has to have something filled in. So under grade type, we're going to go under our six weeks, since that's the training environment we're in. And then for student ID, we're going to run this for all of our students. So type in all as it is there. Include dropped without. We'll just say no on that. Highest failing grade under our grading system, that is a 69. So we can enter 69 there. And then this gives us our options for how we want that sorted. We'll do that by student, course, and section. Only display running average, yes. And then we don't need any page breaks. So we'll select none there. And then now notice at the bottom, it has a profile name. So this allows you to save these parameters that you have set for running a failing averages report. So let's give that profile name, let's just call it failing. And then click add. And you'll notice that that little branch has popped up under failing averages report. And so if you want those exact same parameters that we've just done, then you'll click on the little branch off of the section there that says failing. That's your saved parameters. Now we're going to select request report, and then it will begin to generate that report for you. And that'll be in a PDF form. And now we want to check and see how that report is doing. We'll go to our report queue, click that tab, which can also be accessed on your navigation pane off to the side. And it shows you that that report has been requested. Off to the right, you see a wait time. Once the report is finished being run, under status, you'll see it say completed.
We'll give that a little bit of time. Now, part of the thing that could be going on here, this is the longest it's taken for it to say completed,
Right.
is, you know, whatever grade period I'm choosing right here, if you notice, when I did the grade book, I put hundreds in for everybody. So there's a really good shot that I don't have anybody failing. So it's just kind of running itself over and over again to try to figure out, you know, who's failing when it's not.
Right.
But it will say completed, as Mr. Landry said. And then once it says completed, what do you do there, Derek?
Once it says completed, then you can click on that report and it will give you an option to be able to open that up.
See if we can run another one here. How about we go to failing and let's make the grades minimum 100. And we'll call these people the 100 Club. Just to get something, right?
Why don't we show them the teacher grid?
Okay, that's a good one. All right, tell me where to go for that.
Okay, so student class roster teacher grid. This will be what many of you might, if you still like to keep a hard copy of a grade book, you might want to run this report and you can print it out and write your assignment grades down in there. So notice that everything is pretty much already filled in for you. Your date, we'll just go ahead and select today's date. And let's title this, yeah, we can put by course section. And then let's just call it grade book.
And then add, right?
Add.
Bring it over here.
That has saved all of those parameters there for you. Request report. And go back to our report queue.
Which, like they said, you can access here or here. We'll go that way just to show it a different way.
Okay, so you can see our teacher grid has been requested. And you'll see up there at the top where that little drop down menu is, it says refresh rate. So that what that means is every 10 seconds it will keep refreshing it to see how much longer it's going to take for your report to be finished. And none of these reports actually took this long when we were.
This is something going on with mine. So, but that's the way this goes, you know. When you ran yours yesterday, they all said completed.
Yeah.
So this has to be something on my end.
So, but it, again, very user-friendly. And once the report says completed, you just click on it. It will pop up. You print it out if you need to print it out, or save it as a PDF file if you like, and you're done.
And then I'll kind of piggyback off of you there, since you're doing reports, which is great. I'm going to go back home and we'll kind of, I think, wrap this up here, right?
Yeah.
If I go into my enter classroom grading here, which if you remember, that's where we enter grades. It's going to take me to basically, you know, all of my classes that I have. And if I select the class, and I click select, so first period English, you know, you can see that I have my chapter 2 grades and my chapter 3 grades. You can actually, you know, shortcut to a lot of the things we talked about earlier by clicking on the bottom here. So like you've got reports, we can run reports through here, which is what Mr. Landry just talked about, instead of having to go over to report profiles. When you click into reports, it's obviously going to take you to the same drop-down menus where you select the type of report you want. You're going to have to fill in all of the starred points. You're going to have to give it a title if you want to save that. You're going to have to drop it into the queue and then get it from the queue when it says completed. Again, what was happening when we were showing that a second ago is completely on my end. You're not going to have those issues because you're going to have a multitude of grades. You're going to have some passing, some failing, things like that. If I wanted to go into attendance, I can quickly go into attendance for this current period that I'm in. So you can toggle between them very quickly. I can email parents for this class that I'm in. When I click email parents, you're going to notice that it's going to pop up. Let me slide this out of the way. Each of the students' names, each of the parents' names, and then the emails they have on file. If you select a line that does not have an email.
I think you got a second window that popped up, Paul.
I did. Thank you very much, Eric. Let me go back. So I'm still in the grade book here. That second window gets us every time. When I click email parents, another window is going to pop up. Let me show you what that window looked like. It looked like this. Move this out of the way. And it's going to show you the roster of your class, your parents' names, the parent emails. And if you select one that doesn't have an email, and then you try to click continue, I don't know if this is going to work because another pop-up's going to show up. It'll say not allowed to select row without an email. Is that showing up on yours, Derek?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So you got to make sure that when you're emailing someone, you're selecting someone that has an email right there. Let me go back to stop share. Let me go back to a grade book. So you can email parents. You can do the same thing with emailing students. These are quick ways for you to email. If you're emailing the students, you can't see that. So another pop-up showed up, which is right here. You know, obviously you're going to have email addresses for all the students. You can select one student to email. You click them and then you hit continue. You could hit control and you could select multiple students. You can hit control shift and just select them all. There's different ways to do it. You can go to the top and you can select only students with a failing average to email right here. This is selecting every kid. This is not selecting anybody. So you have options here of how you're going to do it, but you're going to click continue. We should have an email address for every student on file, but the parents, you know how that is. We don't have email addresses for every parent on file. Under my grade book, you know, you still have the ability to add your notes and everything in there. So you do have shortcuts within this little part right here as well. One of the things that I forgot to mention earlier is we're currently waiting for them to finish production of Frontline, open it up for the rest of us. So things like M for missing or EXC for excused, those don't exist yet. Hopefully they will. Hopefully we get some clarification on what's happening there. But you know, when we went through this training, the main things that we learned were shown to you today. You know, those are basically how to set up the grade book, how to enter your grades, how to take attendance, how to make a seating chart, how to run a report, and how to put in a discipline file.
All right. I'm going to try this one more time here. Okay. So can you see my screen there, Paul?
Yes, perfect.
Okay, so another thing that just quickly before we close out, they told us a little bit about troubleshooting in the grade book, and that's done through this tab on the, when you're back at the home page. If you click Information Center, you'll see these different announcements, and there's an option that you can go to get videos and other things that can help you with any troubleshooting issues that you might have on Frontline. Report queue. So real quick, let me just show you what we were talking about before. Notice that in my report queue, it's listed all of these reports that have been completed. Here is here's that teacher grid. Can you see that, Paul?
I can see it, yeah.
Okay, good. So here's the grid. If you wanted to write in assignment dates across the top here, and then write your grades for those students and those assignments in those little boxes, after you print that out, you can do that. Or if you need extra rosters for tutorials or Raptor time rosters or any of that kind of stuff for different activities, or taking attendance in Raptor time, because again, that doesn't show up in the system, you can use a form like this. So I just wanted to show you guys that real quick, that teacher grid.
That was good. Yeah, I'm glad that worked out on my wife. Didn't work on our end. So I think that's it, buddy. What do you think?
That should do it.
Okay. Well, if you guys have any questions, please let us know. We'll be happy to answer them. But if you ask me any questions besides the 6 things we showed you, I might not know it, but we can learn together. So,
all right.
We'll figure it out. We're looking forward to seeing everybody this week and having a great year. That's it. Let's just get signing out.
There must be at least 1,000 northern wind turbines just turning all together, sending power to the city, sitting deep on the horizon where the people really needed to survive this life. Floating from the summer come the falling leaves. I wonder as I wander through the deadwood trees, have I lost all my connection to the man I am inside this life?